The first thing I did after being reborn was tear up the marriage application my fiancé, Lu Yanxi, was about to submit. In my past life, I clung to Lu Yanxi and married him, only to discover on my deathbed that he had been secretly carrying on with Jiang Shuilan for 40 years behind my back. Now that I know the truth in this life, I won't be that foolish again. I will step aside and let Lu Yanxi be with the woman he's always pined for, Jiang Shuilan. I don't object to Lu Yanxi taking care of Jiang Shuilan, nor do I object to him giving half his salary to her. I just never imagined Jiang Shuilan's greed would be so much greater than I thought. She actually has her eyes on my university acceptance letter. In your dreams, I firmly rejected Jiang Shuilan's unreasonable demand. The day after I refused Jiang Shuilan's unreasonable demands and had a complete falling out with Lu Yanxi and Jiang Shuilan were caught in bed together, in my past life. Unaware that Lu Yanxi was dissatisfied with me as his fiancé, I happily married him, relying on the marriage contract arranged since our childhood. Lu Yanxi was very busy with work, and his parents' health was not very good. To let Lu Yanxi focus on his career, I gave up my chance to go to university and dedicated my entire life to caring for his parents and raising our children, in 40 years of marriage. Lu Yanxi and I have spent more time apart than together. Our actual time living under the same roof doesn't add up to more than 2 years. As a woman, I had to look after his ailing parents while also raising our young children. You can imagine how hard life was. I always hoped Lu Yanxi would take the initiative to transfer back to my city to lend me a hand, but Lu Yanxi never came back, not even until his death. I always thought Lu Yanxi was trapped by circumstances. But I only learned the truth on my deathbed. Lu Yanxi wasn't trapped by circumstances. He simply didn't like me, didn't want to see me, his own wife. He wanted to stay as far away from me as possible, so he could freely care for his beloved, Jiang Shuilan. Behind my back, he arranged a job for Jiang Shuilan. The two of them were all lovey-dovey, and he took up that post in the south for her sake. It was the same story when he went north, also because of Jiang Shuilan. His heart always belonged to her. They were a devoted couple, deeply in love without a shadow of doubt, and it wasn't until I was on my deathbed that I realized my whole life had been a joke. I'd been played for a fool from start to finish. I pulled my university acceptance letter from the bottom of the trunk, clutching it tightly to my chest. Tears of joy streamed down my face uncontrollably. Thank goodness, there's still time, in my past life, because I was hopelessly in love with Lu Yanxi. I was determined to marry him and become his wife. For the sake of so-called love, I gave up going to university and dutifully stayed at home to care for his sick parents. In this life, such foolishness will not happen again. I'm going to university to build a career for myself. As for Lu Yanxi, doesn't he have feelings for Jiang Shuilan? In this life, I'll step back from this entanglement with Lu Yanxi and let him and Jiang Shuilan, that star-crossed couple, be together. After composing myself, I walked out of the room and saw Lu Yanxi sitting on a chair in the living room. On the table in front of him lay the marriage report he had filled out but hadn't yet submitted. Lu Yanxi stared coldly at the marriage report, his brow furrowed. He didn't even glance my way when I walked out. In my past life, Lu Yanxi was always cold and distant towards me. I didn't realize it was a sign of his dislike. I just thought he was naturally aloof. It wasn't until my dying moments, when I saw a photo of him and Jiang Shuilan where his face was lit up with a genuine smile, that I understood. He wasn't incapable of smiling, he just never wanted to smile for me. Lu Yanxi stared at the marriage application form before him with a deep frown, clearly reluctant to submit it. The wedding date was set by our parents. Although Lu Yanxi didn't like me, he was a filial son who wouldn't defy his parents' wishes. Marrying him was a step up for my family. My parents were desperate for me to marry a military officer to elevate our social standing. This was certainly not the time to bring up breaking up. I had to stop him from submitting that form and cementing our relationship, just like he did in my past life. I walked over to him and picked up the marriage report. Let me handle submitting this, I said. Without waiting for his reply, I took the report and left on my own. I found a secluded spot, tore the marriage report to shreds, and tossed the pieces into a nearby sewer drain. Watching the shredded paper get washed away without a trace, I finally let out a sigh of relief. I don't have to worry about marriage for now. The immediate concern is preparing for school. My parents have always wanted me to marry Lu Yanxi as soon as possible. In my past life, when they found out I got into university, they desperately tried to talk me out of going. They kept drilling into me all the advantages of marrying Lu Yanxi. Back then, I was in love with him, so I was quickly persuaded. I toiled away for Lu Yanxi my entire life, sacrificing everything, and didn't get a single good thing out of it. Not even when I died. I won't listen to my parents' advice in this life, and I won't make the same mistake again. I only returned to Lu Yanxi's house after I had clarified all the materials needed for university and the estimated living expenses. Walking to the edge of the courtyard, I saw the car parked inside, and watched as a young woman and Lu Yanxi stepped out of it, laden with bags. Just like in my previous life, Jiang Shualan was rightfully brought to Lu Yanxi's side to be taken care of. Lu Yanxi brought Jiang Shualan to live with him, citing the reason that her brother had lost his life saving his. I had always believed Lu Yanxi owed Jiang Shualan a life, so I thought it was only right and proper for him to provide for her. If she hadn't later taken the initiative to expose the true nature of their relationship, I would have remained in the dark until the day I died. I watched indifferently as Lu Yanxi helped Jiang Shualan carry her luggage to the room prepared for her. As if sensing my gaze, Lu Yanxi stopped and turned his head. "You're back." I gave a non-committal hum. Just like in my past life, he introduced Jiang Shualan to me. "This is Jiang Shualan, my comrade's sister. She'll be staying here until she starts university." Until she starts university, my heart gave a sudden, uneasy lurch. A thought suddenly struck me. The university Jiang Shualan attended seemed to be University A, the very same one on my acceptance letter. In my previous life, I'd never given much thought to the nature of her relationship with Lu Yanxi. Jiang Shualan had been brought by Lu Yanxi to live in the compound, and after we got married, she left to attend University A. But today, when I went to inquire about the enrollment situation, I carefully reviewed University A's list of admitted students. There were only 3 spots. One on the list was me, and the other 2 were occupied by 2 young men I didn't know. Jiang Shualan's name was not on University A's admission list. If that's the case, how did she qualify to attend? Back then, it had only been a few years since the national college entrance exams were reinstated, and university admission spots could be transferred. A sudden, chilling thought struck me. Did Jiang Shualan only get the chance to go to university because I gave up my spot to marry him? If that's the case, did Lu Yanxi have a hand in it? Could it be that he married me just so his beloved could go to college, so I would dutifully hold down the fort at home, while Jiang Shualan, who wasn't even qualified, got the opportunity only because I stepped aside? I can't bear to think that Lu Yanxi could be so despicable. It just reminds me of Jiang Shualan's smug, gloating words at my deathbed in my past life. "You've had him all to yourself for over 40 years, now it's my turn to enjoy our golden years with him." The way Jiang Shualan flaunts her role as the other woman, taking pride in it after all these years, just makes me think it all the more. Watching Jiang Shualan stand pressed against Lu Yanxi without a shred of discretion, I sneered inwardly. I said flatly, "Don't let me disturb you, I'll go start dinner." I had only taken a few steps when Jiang Shualan's pitiful, saccharine voice called out from behind me, "Brother Yanxi, did I disturb you and sister by coming over so suddenly? I feel like sister isn't very happy to see me." Her sickeningly sweet, fake tone made my lip curl in disgust, which instantly reached its peak. I didn't turn around, but Lu Yanxi's voice came through clearly to my ears. "Don't worry. I promised your brother I'd look after you, and I keep my word. As long as I'm here, no one will dare mistreat you." Ha! Jumping to her defense already, I must have been blind in my past life. Lu Yanxi and Jiang Shualan returned 2 hours later. I had already prepared the meal, and Jiang Shualan came into the kitchen, putting on a show of helping to carry the dishes. She even took the initiative to serve the rice, but only filled 2 bowls, one for herself and one for Lu Yanxi. Her intentions were as plain as day, but I pretended not to notice her little scheme. Unbothered, I served myself some rice, sat down, and began to eat heartily. Lu Yanxi and Jiang Shualan then sat down as well, but the moment they saw the food on the table, they both froze in stunned silence. There were 4 dishes on the table: mapo tofu, spicy potatoes, and spicy pork ribs. The only soup was a string bean soup, but even that had a layer of red chili oil floating on top. Both Lu Yanxi and Jiang Shualan preferred light, mild-flavored food. Seeing that all the dishes were intensely spicy and aromatic, Lu Yanxi's gaze shifted to me. I didn't look at him, keeping my head down and focusing on my own meal. In my past life, to accommodate Lu Yanxi, I had always cooked bland dishes tailored to his taste. After my rebirth, I decided not to put up with it anymore. Seeing me thoroughly enjoy the spicy, aromatic food without a care for him or Jiang Shualan, Lu Yanxi's expression turned sour. Jiang Shualan also looked at Lu Yanxi with tearful, pitiful eyes, her grievances plain to see. Finally, Lu Yanxi couldn't take it anymore and stood up. "Shualan can't handle spicy food. Don't put chili in the dishes next time. I'm taking her out to eat today." I kept eating my meal, utterly indifferent. without so much as a glance in Lu Yanxi or Jiang Shuolan's direction. With those two annoying people gone, I kept right on eating heartily until I was completely stuffed. After the meal, I cleared the table and then went out for a little stroll to walk it off. Lu Yanxi and Jiang Shuolan hadn't returned, so I went back to my room, shut the door, and opened my trunk. I took out the food ration coupons and money I'd saved for the wedding and began meticulously counting it all up. This is the little nest egg Lu Yanxi and I have saved up for our wedding. Part of it is the dowry my parents scrimped and saved to give me, and the other part is the bride price from Lu Yanxi's family. I'm going to university soon, I'll need money for travel, for food, for everything. I have no intention of handing this money over to Lu Yanxi. In my past life, I handed over every last bit of this money to Jiang Shuolan for her education right after Lu Yanxi and I got married. I'm not going to be that foolish this time around. I'm keeping all the money and ration coupons for myself. I won't let anyone else benefit from them. After carefully putting away the money, food coupons, and admission letter, I took out all the wedding preparations I had stored in the trunk. The bright red bed sheets, duvet covers, and pillowcases were now of no use to me. Since the wedding was off, I had to give these things away. Auntie Wu from our compound had always been kind to me, and her daughter was getting married this very month, so I packed everything up and took it all to her. Aunt Wu was quite surprised to see me bringing things over. She asked me a few questions, and I gave vague excuses to brush her off. When I got home, Lu Yanxi still hadn't returned. After washing up, I went back to my room and marked a red check on the wall calendar. How wonderful! In just 20 more days, I'll be leaving this place to go to school. I slept soundly that night and had no idea when Lu Yanxi came back. I made myself a bowl of noodles when I got up in the morning. Lu Yanxi didn't open his bedroom door until I was already eating. Seeing me sitting there alone, eating my noodles without so much as a glance in his direction, a look of surprise flashed across his face. Can't really blame him for that reaction. I used to be head over heels in love with him. I used to have everything prepared perfectly for him. He doesn't like spicy food, so I never cooked anything with chili or Sichuan pepper. He has a sensitive stomach, so I get up early every morning to make him millet porridge to help soothe it. I see him off at the compound gate when he leaves for work, and in the evening, I'm already waiting there early to welcome him home. In my presence, he acts like a lofty emperor, while I am merely the servant attending to him. Now that this servant has suddenly changed and no longer puts the emperor first, it's no wonder Lu Yanxi finds it hard to get used to. Seeing that I was completely ignoring him, Lu Yanxi had no choice but to walk over himself. Shuolan isn't familiar with this place. I took her out for dinner last night and showed her around a bit before coming back. Is Lu Yanxi explaining himself to me? Well, that's a first. I mumbled through a mouthful of noodles. Of course, it's only natural you'd look after her. No need to report to me in the future. Lu Yanxi was stunned for a moment, seemingly finding my reaction unbelievable. After all, I used to love him so much. Lu Yanxi is blessed with handsome looks and has many admirers. I used to keep a very close eye on him, and I would get upset if a girl so much as chatted with him for a few extra minutes. Now, the fact that I'm not even bothered about him and Jiang Shuolan has made Lu Yanxi sense that something is off. He stared at me for a long moment before continuing. Shuolan's brother is gone because of me. From now on, she is my sister, and I will always look out for her. I'll give half of my salary and grain ration coupons to Shuolan from now on. In my past life, after I married Lu Yanxi, I stayed home to care for his ailing parents. Out of his 40 yuan monthly salary, he only gave me 10. I toiled from dawn till dusk every day, and in my spare time, I took on odd jobs to make ends meet, and yet, he actually gave half of his salary to Jiang Shuolan. How utterly devoted he was to her. He doesn't care for his own parents, his wife, or his children. His heart belongs only to his beloved Jiang Shuolan. I was seething with rage, itching to slap that handsome face of his. I held myself back. Fine, you handle it. I have no objections. What does it matter to me if Lu Yanxi gives half his work and ration coupons, or even his entire salary, to Jiang Shuolan? I'm not marrying him, and I certainly won't waste my life taking care of his parents. Let's see how he's going to afford medicine and food for his sick parents after giving all his money to Jiang Shuolan. I wolfed down the noodles, tidied up, and went back to my room. Yesterday, I just sent out the wedding linens, the sheets, duvet covers, and pillowcases. I'm going to clear out everything in my room today. There's no point keeping all those college entrance exam prep books, so I plan to sell them all. All the things I prepared for Lu Yanxi will have to be given away or thrown out. I shut the door and quietly tidied up in my room. Not even noticing when Lu Yanxi left, I gathered the books and sold them for scrap. then took out the several pairs of hand-stitched cloth shoes I had made for Lu Yanxi and sold those too. I bundled up everything that couldn't be sold and tossed it all into the dump. Then, I cut up all the big red double happiness characters I had prepared and threw them away too. After finishing all that, I picked up a pen and crossed off another day on the calendar. There were 19 days left until school started, so I needed to get my things ready. I went to the supply and marketing cooperative, never expecting to run into Lu Yanxi and Jiang Shuolan there. The two of them were picking out items together, looking every bit like a loving, devoted couple. Lu Yanxi was incredibly thoughtful, even going so far as to help Jiang Shuolan pick out thermal underwear, with a sweet, coquettish smile. Jiang Shuolan said, "Brother Yanxi, that's more than enough, you really don't need to buy any more." I asked around, and they say it gets very cold where you'll be studying. It's best to have a couple extra sets, just in case. The two of them were chatting intimately, completely oblivious to anyone else around them. Jiang Shuolan was the first to notice me. She called out with an air of superiority, "Xingnan, you're here shopping too." Hearing Jiang Shuolan's voice, Lu Yanxi finally saw me. My gaze, caught somewhere between a smile and a smirk, seemed to make him uncomfortable. "Shuolan is about to start university," he explained. "I'm just helping her pick up a few things." As he spoke, his gaze fell upon the writing brush, ink, and paper in my hands. "I've already bought some for Shuolan, so you don't need to." What gave him the nerve to think I'd do these things for Jiang Shuolan? I ignored Lu Yanxi, gathered the writing supplies I had bought, and turned to leave. Lu Yanxi chased after me, calling my name twice, but I just quickened my pace without looking back. From behind me came Jiang Shuolan's timid voice, "Brother Yanxi, it really seems like Xingnan Jiejie doesn't like me at all." I went to buy a few more things before finally heading home. When I pushed the door open, I found that Lu Yanxi had already prepared dinner. Well, I'll be damned, that's a first. When I got back, Lu Yanxi invited me to dinner. I glanced at the bland food on the table and shook my head. I already ate out. Lu Yanxi's expression froze. I ignored him and went straight to my room. A few minutes later, Lu Yanxi knocked on the door. I opened it. "What is it?" "We need to talk." "Talk about what?" I asked coldly. "Xingnan, are you upset about Shuolan?" "I'm only looking out for her because of her brother." "That's your business. It has nothing to do with me. So stop going on about it." "Well." Lu Yanxi noticed the impatience on my face and softened his tone. "Xingnan, we're about to get married. We're family. My problems are your problems now." Ha, he still sees me as the same pushover from my past life. I was incredibly annoyed, utterly sick of seeing Lu Yanxi put on this phony act. "Lu Yanxi, have you ever really thought about us? I think we need to seriously reconsider this whole marriage idea." I had intended to end the discussion about marrying Lu Yanxi right then and there. But before I could finish, a knock came at the door. Jiang Shuolan's tearful voice called out, "Brother Yanxi, I've sprained my ankle. It hurts so much." Lu Yanxi helped the injured Jiang Shuolan leave, and he never came back. Naturally, I didn't wait for him. After washing up, I locked the door and went to bed. I slept like a baby. The first thing I did when I woke up was mark a check on the calendar. Then, feeling refreshed, I washed up. When I came out, I saw Lu Yanxi was back, having bought steamed buns, soy milk, and fried dough sticks. Seeing me, a rare smile appeared on his face. "You're up," he said. I gave a soft MHM. He handed me the breakfast. "For you." I took it and began eating in silence as he sat down beside me. "Shuolan sprained her ankle last night and then developed a high fever. I was worried, so I stayed with her at the hospital all night." "As you should," I replied coldly. I had always greeted him with a smile, never with such coldness before. Lu Yanxi seemed to be at his limit. "Xingnan, are you mad at me?" "No, really, I'm not. Really, I'm not. What's there to be mad about? Anyway, in just over 10 days, we'll be going our separate ways." Seeing that I admitted I wasn't angry, the smile on Lu Yanxi's face deepened. "I saw you bought ink, brushes, and paper yesterday. They're for Shuolan, right? Why don't you come with me later to give them to her?" I looked up at him, enunciating each word clearly. "Lu Yanxi, Jiang Shuolan has your concern. That's more than enough. She doesn't need mine. What I bought is for my own use and has nothing to do with anyone else." His expression soured after that rebuff. Paying no mind to his feelings, I stood up. "I have something to take care of. I'm going out." I went to the train station to check on the tickets. It was freezing at a university, so I bought myself 2 sets of thermal underwear and some toiletries before heading home. Lu Yanxi was actually home for once, seeing me come in with bags. He even offered to help carry them. I dodged his hand and carried them to my room myself. He followed me in and said, "Your room seems a lot emptier." I got rid of everything I don't need. Noticing my cold demeanor, He fell silent for a moment. The wedding is in a few days. I'll go with you to buy some things tomorrow. Well, that was a surprise. I flat out refused. No, thanks. Seeing that I showed him not an ounce of warmth, only utter indifference, Lu Yanxi rubbed his hands together and, after a long pause, managed to squeeze out another sentence. There's one more thing I need to discuss with you, about you going to university. I stopped tidying up and looked up at him quietly. Lu Yanxi hesitated for a moment before speaking. Here's what I think. After we get married, you probably won't have time to attend university, since you won't have the time anyway. It would be better to voluntarily give up your university spot to someone who needs it. Hearing Lu Yanxi's words, my mind went blank for an instant. Before, I only suspected that Jiang Shualan got into university because I withdrew. Now, hearing Lu Yanxi say this, I'm almost certain that's what happened. That shameless pair. How dare they? Fury made me shoot to my feet. I glared at Lu Yanxi with pure hatred. Asking through gritted teeth, give it to whom? Lu Yanxi was startled by my demeanor. You, what's wrong with you? I'm just discussing this with you, aren't I? Discussing. I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. In my past life, I gave him my heart and soul, treating him like a god. That's why Lu Yanxi made this decision without saying a single word to me. In this life, I have no affection left for him. He only told me about this because he had no other choice. Lu Yanxi, oh Lu Yanxi. Don't you think you're utterly despicable and shameless? I told Lu Yanxi, enunciating every word clearly. I will not give up my university spot. If anyone wants to go to university, they should earn it on their own merit. Trying to take my shortcut, not a chance. Lu Yanxi hadn't expected such a strong reaction from me. He even stammered a little as he spoke. I was just thinking, if we get married, you won't have time for university, then let's just not get married. I snarled the words at Lu Yanxi, his face turned ashen, and he glared at me. Don't push it. You're the one who wanted to get married, and now you're the one calling it off. What do you take me for? What do you think marriage is? I scoffed. Spare me the act. If you had any shame at all, would you have treated me like that in our past life? It wasn't the time to burn bridges with Lu Yanxi just yet. Swallowing my anger, I quickly packed my bag. I need to go home for a few days. Lu Yanxi followed me for a few steps. What's with the sudden urge to go home? I miss my parents, I said, and without another glance at him, hurried downstairs and left. I plan to stay at home for a while and figure things out once the new semester starts. My parents were both delighted to see me back. My mom, especially, pulled me aside and asked all sorts of questions, particularly about my relationship with Lu Yanxi. I just laughed it off and gave vague answers. Knowing I should prepare my mom for the fact that Lu Yanxi and I aren't getting married, I casually brought up Jiang Shualan on the 7th day. My mom was instantly on high alert. A single woman he's taking care of. That's not good news. You'd better hurry back and keep a close eye on him. Yanxi is a real catch. What will you do if someone snatches him away? Worst case, we break up and I find someone else. Don't you dare say such things. Where on earth would you find another man with Yanxi's looks and career? My mom sees Lu Yanxi as the ultimate catch, so she practically kicked me out of the house, forcing me to go back to him, and just like that, I was booted out by my mom. With nowhere else to go, I had no choice but to return to Lu Yanxi's place. I pushed the door open and heard noises coming from my room. My heart jumped. What? A burglar in broad daylight. I rushed to my bedroom door in a few quick strides. And the sight that greeted me made my blood run cold. My room was in complete disarray, with everything turned upside down. Jiang Shualan didn't notice my arrival. She kept rummaging through the drawers and boxes in my room, even flipping over the quilt, all the while muttering to herself, how can it not be here? Where on earth did I put it? I shouted sharply, what are you doing? Who said you could touch my things? Jiang Shualan was startled by my voice, but after turning and seeing me, she quickly regained her composure. What kind of question is that? Of course, Brother Yanxi asked me to come. While I was away, Lu Yanxi actually brought Jiang Shualan to live in our home. That shameless pair really have no decency, do they? My eyes blazed with fury. Jiang Shualan, have you no shame? Get out of my room this instant. Jiang Shualan wore a look of shameless defiance. What? Are you mad? Let me tell you the truth. While you were gone, I've been living with Brother Yanxi the whole time. He's been so good to me, making me breakfast every morning, cooking dinner every night, and even taking walks with me. I'm telling you, Brother Yanxi really knows how to take care of someone. Suppressing the anger in my heart, I sneered. So you like Lu Yanxi, you want to marry him? My blunt accusation caused Jiang Shualan's expression to stiffen for a moment. I stared at her coldly. Don't you know he's getting married? Aren't you afraid of what people will say, shamelessly living with a man who's about to be married? What do I have to be afraid of? Brother Yancy and I are a perfect match, a couple made in heaven. You, on the other hand, why don't you take a good look in the mirror? Are you even worthy of Brother Yancy? That so-called childhood betrothal is nothing but feudalistic nonsense. I heard it from Brother Yancy himself. If it weren't for your parents pressuring him, and him being a filial son, he would never have agreed to marry you. I believe these are Lu Yancy's true feelings, but that doesn't mean Jiang Shualan gets to throw them in my face. All that talk is just you being jealous that I'm the one marrying Lu Yancy, isn't it? You say I'm not good enough for him. Fine, I admit I'm not. But are you so sure you're his perfect match? Take a look at yourself in the mirror too. Right now, you're just like me, no job, no degree. Neither of us is any better than the other, huh? That's just what you think. I'm starting university soon. Once I graduate, I'll be on equal footing with Brother Yancy, while you'll still be nothing. I stared at her coldly. You're going to college. Which one? Where's your acceptance letter? Why don't you show it to me? Jiang Shualan was caught off guard by my question. She stammered, why should I show you? I'm not like you. I will definitely go to college. Just you wait and see. Panic was written all over Jiang Shualan's face, though she tried to act composed. Her darting, shifty eyes gave her away. She must be up to something. What in my room could possibly be worth taking such a risk for? I looked at my room, which had been ransacked into a complete mess, and then at Jiang Shualan's hideous face. I felt sick to my stomach. How could anyone be so utterly shameless? I stared coldly at Jiang Shualan. Get out of here right now. What are you going to do about it if I don't leave? Jiang Shualan looked at me with a taunting glare. Brother Yancy is the one who asked me to move in. He said he wants to take care of me personally. He even said he's sick of you, that the very sight of you makes him sick. The words spoken by the young Jiang Shualan overlapped perfectly with those of the Jiang Shualan now past 50. Shameless people never change their ways, not in this life or the last. I let out a scornful laugh. Lu Yancy actually told you things like that. You two really are kindred spirits, aren't you? Of course he doesn't like you. Yancy only agreed to marry you because he was forced into it. If you had any self-respect, you'd back out on your own and stop putting him in such an awkward position. Who do you think you are to tell me to back out? And what gives you the right? If we're talking about shamelessness, you take the crown, no contest. At least I'm Lu Yancy's legitimate fiancé. What are you, exactly? I looked Jiang Shualan straight in the eye, enunciating every word. Jiang Shualan, I know exactly what's going on in that head of yours. You're just looking for a chance to hook up with Lu Yancy behind my back, aren't you? It's written all over your face. I want to mess around with Lu Yancy. Do you think people can't see it? Let me tell you. You shameless creature. I won't let you get away with it. Having her sordid intentions laid bare like that, Jiang Shualan flushed crimson with rage. Furious, she lunged at me, intent on hitting me. There was no way I was going to let her hit me. I simply sidestepped, and she went tumbling to the ground with a thud. Before I could even take a moment to savor the sight of her humiliating faceplant, I heard Jiang Shualan's wailing. Wah, you're bullying me. It hurts so much. The speed of her face-changing act left me stunned. Before I could even process it, I saw Lu Yancy standing there with a face like thunder, right in front of me. Jiang Shualan started tattling. As soon as sister came back, she started cursing me out for no reason, saying I'm shameless and was trying to seduce you. I talked back just once, and she hit me. I'm covered in bruises. Wah, Lu Yancy believed Jiang Shualan's words, veins bulging on his forehead as he roared at me. Li Xingnan. How could you be so cruel? Jiang Shualan pretended to be hurt, and Lu Yancy, his heart aching for her, held her in his arms and left. The room fell silent. I looked at the mess scattered across the floor, my feelings a tangled knot of complexity. I had always believed it was only after I married Lu Yancy and gave up my university spot that Jiang Shualan was able to attend college. But if that's the case, why would Jiang Shualan be rummaging through my room like that? There's nothing in my room except for the admission letter and the money and ration coupons. She definitely wasn't looking for money or coupons. After all, Lu Yancy gives her half his salary, so she wouldn't stoop to stealing. So, she couldn't possibly be looking for my admission letter, could she? What would she want with my admission letter? A thought I'd never considered before suddenly struck me. Could it be that Jiang Shualan got into university not because I dropped out and freed up a spot, but because she stole my identity? No wonder the admission letter I kept in the box in my past life vanished without a trace. Since I had given up on the idea of going to university in that life, I didn't think much of it when I couldn't find the letter. Looking back now, could it be that Jiang Shualan used my admission letter to go to university under my name? Back then, university admissions weren't as strict. It's entirely possible Jiang Shualan could have impersonated me. It occurred to me again that wherever Jiang Shualan went for work, Lu Yanxi would follow. Could it be that in their past life, they had been living together as husband and wife all along? I was trapped at home my entire life, so I never learned the truth before I died. I won't let anything like that happen again in this lifetime. Lu Yanxi came back very late, and as soon as he returned, he knocked on my door. Xingnan, we need to talk. I opened the door. Talk about what? About Jiang Shualan. I didn't hit her. She was the one rummaging through my things. I just told her to leave, and she was the one who laid hands on me first. Then she lost her balance and fell. I have a mouth of my own, and I wasn't about to play the silent fool, letting Jiang Shualan frame me and Lu Yanxi interrogate me. I said what needed to be said first. Whether he believes me or not is up to him. To my surprise, Lu Yanxi showed no intention of standing up for Jiang Shualan. There's nothing between me and Jiang Shualan, Lu Yanxi sighed, reaching out to take my hand. I took several steps back, evading his touch. A look of shock crossed his face. After all, I had been shamelessly clinging to him before. I would have happily grabbed his hand even if he hadn't offered it. So how could I possibly refuse when he was the one reaching out? My clear stance left Lu Yanxi speechless. He looked somewhat hurt. Xingnan. There is absolutely nothing going on between me and Jiang Shualan. I only see her as a younger sister. Please don't overthink it. Oh, really? I sneered, looking at Lu Yanxi. If I hadn't gone through all that in my past life, I think I would have believed him. But now, I don't believe a single word he says. Xingnan, whether you believe me or not, I need to tell you this. You're the only one I want to marry. My feelings for Jiang Shualan are purely about fulfilling a duty of care. She won't be here for long. She'll be leaving for university soon. So, for my sake, could you try to get along with her peacefully for a little while? The doubts in my mind remain unresolved. Did Jiang Shualan take my university spot? Or did she simply use my admission letter to impersonate me? Was Lu Yanxi aware of this? Could he have been personally involved in orchestrating the whole scheme? After all, even if Jiang Shualan got hold of my admission letter, she would have needed various documents to successfully pose as me, right? Jiang Shualan definitely doesn't have the ability to obtain those certificates on her own. But it's a different story if Lu Yanxi steps in to help. Thinking of this, I asked nonchalantly, which university did Jiang Shualan attend? Shualan said it was a university. So she went to the same school as me. I added, did you actually see her letter of admission? Not at all, but Shualan's grades are excellent, so it's perfectly normal for her to get into university A. Lu Yanxi's expression looked perfectly normal, with no sign of the guilt that comes with lying. Then again, maybe not. After all, he wore that same expression when he deceived me so thoroughly in my past life. I must get to the bottom of this matter with Jiang Shualan and her university admission. If you want to find out whether Jiang Shualan got into university, just ask around. There are quite a few people from Jiang Shualan's hometown around here. I'll ask someone to look into it tomorrow. Early the next morning, I was woken up by a knock at the door. I opened the door, and Lu Yanxi was standing there. Breakfast is ready, he said. Let's eat. I gave a curt nod and went to wash up with an air of indifference. Lu Yanxi followed me, making small talk. What do the check marks on your room's calendar mean? He asked. Nothing important. Seeing my cold demeanor, Lu Yanxi kept his eyes fixed on me. I pretended not to see him and moved past, sitting down to start my breakfast on my own. Lu Yanxi also sat down, watching me while he ate his breakfast. It was clear from his expression that he had something to say to me, but I really had nothing to say to him. After quickly finishing my breakfast, I stood up. I have something to take care of. I'm heading out. I'll go with you, Lu Yanxi offered, for once, but I didn't give him the chance. You should go check on Jiang Shualan instead, see if she's had breakfast, if she needs you to look after her. After all, you promised her brother you'd take care of her. If anything happens to her, you won't be able to explain yourself. With that, I walked away quickly, not caring what expression was on Lu Yanxi's face. I went to find someone in the unit who was from Jiang Shualan's hometown to ask about her family's situation. Quite a few people know that Jiang Shualan's brother was a martyr, and I actually managed to find out. The person who told me was a military dependent, and she's on very good terms with Aunt Wu. I know the Jiang family. The son was a top-notch, stand-up guy. Everyone spoke highly of him, but Jiang Shualan and her mother, they're just awful people. The military dependent told me that both Madame Jiang and Jiang Shualan have terrible character. Jiang Shualan never even finished junior high and was just out there messing around. Someone like her taking the college entrance exam. You've got to be kidding me. Are you serious? I pressed. Why would I lie? Jiang Shualan was in the same class as my youngest son. Her grades were atrocious. She dropped out before finishing junior high. Besides, She hurt her leg in a bike accident right before the Gaokao and was stuck at home recovering. When would she have had time to take the exam? It's not like I'm the only one who knows this. Several of us military dependents are aware. So there's absolutely no way Jiang Shuilan, who never finished junior high, could have taken the Gaokao. And if she never took the Gaokao, how on earth did she qualify for university? I already have my answer. I came home in a bad mood and found Lu Yanxi and Jiang Shuilan both there. Jiang Shuilan's eyes were red, as if she had been crying. I walked in without a word, passed right by them, and went straight to my room. A few minutes later, Lu Yanxi came knocking at the door. I opened the door, looked at him, and asked, "Did you submit the marriage report?" I hadn't expected him to ask about that. I answered instinctively, "Yeah, I did." Lu Yanxi looked at me and said, "It's been submitted for so long. How come there's been no word at all? It should have been approved by now." In theory, my heart skipped a beat, and I quickly interjected, "I'll go ask." Lu Yanxi didn't agree. "Let's go ask together," he said. "We can also pick up a few things for the wedding while we're out." I couldn't find a reason to refuse. If we actually went to ask, my cover would be blown. I had to find a way to put him off. As I was thinking this, Lu Yanxi spoke again. "I just spoke with Shuilan. I plan to send her home in a few days." I looked up at Lu Yanxi and asked in surprise, "Why?" After thinking it over carefully, "I don't blame you for being angry and misunderstanding. It really isn't appropriate for me to take care of Shuilan, an unmarried woman." When Lu Yanxi said that, I thought he had realized his mistake and come to his senses, but his next words sent a chill straight to my heart. "Xingnan, there's something I need to tell you. Shuilan wants to go to university. But she didn't get in. She wants to use your spot." I stared at Lu Yanxi in silence. He must have rehearsed his lines long before this moment. I figured since we're getting married soon, you won't need a college degree anyway. I owe Shui Lan's brother a favor, so this settles the debt and spares you any misunderstanding. I fought back the overwhelming urge to slap Lu Yanxi across the face. "How exactly?" "I heard her grades are so poor she doesn't even meet the basic admission requirements." Lu Yanxi fell silent for a moment. "Shuilan's idea is that she'll go to university using your name." Even though I had already guessed their intention, hearing Lu Yanxi say it out loud with my own ears was still unbelievable. I asked, enunciating each word slowly, "Use my name to go to university? Identity fraud. Don't you know that's illegal?" My question caught Lu Yanxi off guard. He was silent for a while before saying, "If you don't tell, I don't tell, and Shuilan doesn't tell. Then no one should ever find out." "What if someone finds out? Walls have ears, you know, and you're a military officer. How do you think people will see you if you're caught falsifying records? Do you even want to keep your position?" Hearing this, Lu Yanxi fell silent. Compared to his own future, I believed he would weigh his options carefully, but I was overthinking it. Love conquered all. Lu Yanxi must have loved Jiang Shuilan deeply, so much so that he was willing to take the risk for her. After a few minutes of silence, he actually started trying to persuade me again. "Xingnan, if the three of us take this secret to our graves, nothing will come of it." I never imagined Lu Yanxi could be so unprincipled, all for Jiang Shuilan's sake. I was absolutely furious. "I don't agree with this, and that's final. I'll never agree to it. Why should I repay a favor you owe? I won't give up my spot to Jiang Shuilan. Not to anyone." My conversation with Lu Yanxi ended on a sour note. I'm absolutely seething. Lu Yanxi and Jiang Shuilan's sheer audacity has me boiling with rage. In my past life, they pulled this kind of stunt behind my back, and I was kept completely in the dark until the day I died. Now in this life, seeing that I'm on my guard, they have the nerve to come to me, expecting me to keep slaving away for them. They must be dreaming. I can't stand being around Lu Yanxi for another minute. No matter what, I'm going to have it out with him. I won't marry him. The whole marriage arrangement is off. He can carry on with Jiang Shuilan however he likes. That's his business. I won't waste a single ounce of my energy on either of them. I packed my things and was ready to leave when Jiang Shuilan showed up. The moment she walked in, she declared, "Li Xingnan, Brother Yanxi sent me to get your university acceptance letter." I sneered at her. "Why on earth should I give you my letter? Didn't Brother Yanxi tell you?" Jiang Shuilan looked down at me with contempt. "He doesn't like you, but he's being forced to marry you. If you don't hand over that acceptance letter, you can forget about marrying Brother Yanxi." Who said I want to marry Lu Yanxi? A spineless piece of trash like him. Anyone who wants him can have him. I certainly don't want him anymore. I stared at Jiang Shuilan, enunciating each word clearly. "You can have the man. But as for my university acceptance letter, don't even dream about it. I won't let a despicable, shameless piece of trash like you get your hands on it." Jiang Shuilan, flushed with anger and humiliation, pointed a finger at me, ready to trade insults, but in an instant, her demeanor shifted. Sister Xingnan, Brother Yancy, and I really have nothing going on, you can't wrong us like this. I don't care what you have or haven't done, you two sanctimonious vile pieces of garbage deserve each other, you should be locked together and kept from harming anyone else. Just as I finished, I saw Lu Yancy storming over, his face a mask of fury. He spoke through gritted teeth. Li Xingnan, what the hell are you making a scene about? Why haven't you submitted the marriage application? I never imagined Lu Yancy would actually go and ask about the marriage report. At this point, I have nothing more to say. Why I didn't submit the marriage report, don't you already know? You want me to marry you so I can give up my university spot for Jiang Shuilan. How can you have the nerve? What makes you so special? Worth me sacrificing my future for? Let me make this clear, Lu Yancy, I will not marry you, and you and your precious Jiang Shuilan can forget about getting your hands on my university acceptance letter. I'd rather die than give it to you, after laying everything bare. I expected Lu Yancy to fly into a rage, but he remained eerily calm instead. It was Jiang Shuilan who got angry. She cried pitifully, Yancy Gidge, you promised to take care of me, you promised my brother you'd look after me. I stared coldly at the despicable pair. Whatever you're doing has nothing to do with me. I'm leaving now. Lu Yancy, our engagement is off. Lu Yancy frantically blocked my path. Xingnan, it's not what you think. Please, let me explain, in front of Jiang Shuilan. Lu Yancy declared with absolute conviction, I'm only looking after Jiang Shuilan because I promised her brother. I have no romantic feelings for her whatsoever. You are the only one I want to marry. Oh, really? I scoffed, not believing a single word. Wasn't the plan to repay her by having me hand over my university admission letter so she could take my place? Let's be perfectly clear, Lu Yancy. I don't care what you do with Jiang Shuilan. All I want right now is to call off our engagement. My resolve was unwavering. Lu Yancy's panic was plain to see. He sharply ordered Jiang Shuilan to leave, intending to placate me, but my mind was made up. I simply packed my things and left without a second thought. I checked into a hotel, and Lu Yancy followed me there, wanting to talk. I didn't open the door, so he just stood outside and spoke to me. He said he was wrong and begged for my forgiveness, but no matter what he said, I remained unmoved, left with no other choice. Lu Yancy promised from outside the door that he would send Jiang Shuilan away. I couldn't care less about his promises. My mind was made up. I was going to call off the engagement no matter what, even if it meant causing a huge scene. I just never imagined the whole situation would turn upside down overnight. The next morning, I was jolted awake from my sleep by Aunt Wu knocking on my door. Xingnan, it's a disaster, a complete disaster. Jiang Shuilan and your fiancé were caught in the act. Lu Yancy and Jiang Shuilan were caught in bed, both of them completely naked. This was no small matter, and word of it spread like wildfire throughout the entire compound. It said that last night, Lu Yancy somehow forced himself on Jiang Shuilan. The whole thing was exposed when a military dependent from the compound knocked on the door and discovered them. When Jiang Shuilan woke up, she was crying uncontrollably and making a scene, demanding to see the supervisor. When I went over, I saw Jiang Shuilan with red, swollen eyes, still crying over there, the very picture of a victim. Meanwhile, Lu Yancy's face was dark, his expression looking absolutely disgusted. Spotting me in the crowd watching the drama, Lu Yancy opened his mouth as if to speak to me, but with so many people around, I couldn't bring myself to say it. A scandal of this magnitude is no trivial matter. This is an improper relationship. It's grounds for dismissal. Fortunately, although Lu Yancy and I are engaged, I never submitted the marriage report. As the victim, if I don't make a fuss, it doesn't count as an improper relationship. The higher-ups intervened to protect Lu Yancy. The matter was settled quietly by having him marry Jiang Shuilan, on the condition that the affair wouldn't be made public. On the day I left to report for my new assignment, Lu Yancy somehow got wind of it and showed up at the train station. I'm sorry, Xingnan. I never meant to betray you. I had made everything clear to her and was planning to send Jiang Shuilan away the very next day. I'd even bought the train ticket. I don't know how this could have happened. He was beating his chest in utter remorse, but I felt nothing for his apology. I'm actually glad you two ended up together. You gave me the chance I needed. I should be thanking you and Jiang Shuilan. If it weren't for Jiang Shuilan's little stunt, calling off my engagement to Lu Yancy wouldn't have been so easy. After all, my parents thought the world of Lu Yancy. They would never have willingly given up such a perfect son-in-law. Thanks to Lu Yancy and Jiang Shuilan's affair, I ended up being the biggest winner in all this. I didn't have to waste energy dealing with my parents, and I even got their sympathy. Lu Yancy's face turned deathly pale. Xingnan, you're the only one I love. I truly only have feelings for you. Perhaps what you can't have always seems the best. Lu Yanxi just kept repeating over there that I was the one he loved. He said he knew I hadn't submitted the marriage application, and that he was ready to file it himself. He genuinely wanted to spend his whole life with me, but I don't want to spend a lifetime like that with him. My previous life was far too bitter and exhausting. If I had to relive that existence, my rebirth would be utterly meaningless. I'd rather choose death. I didn't linger with Lu Yanxi any further and walked straight into the waiting room without a backward glance. University life was fulfilling and busy, following a life path completely different from my previous one. I threw myself wholeheartedly into my studies. My university years flew by in a flash, and upon graduation, I was assigned to a highly desirable government position. When I went home to visit my parents, I was surprised to run into Lu Yanxi and Jiang Xuelan. Lu Yanxi did not rise to a high position as he had in his previous life. Instead, he left the service and returned home to farm. It is said that after marrying Jiang Xuelan, their relationship was very poor. Jiang Xuelan constantly made a scene and caused trouble, preventing Lu Yanxi from being able to work. Jiang Xuelan was deeply distrustful of Lu Yanxi. Whenever he had any contact with another woman, she would worry he was being unfaithful. With all this constant turmoil, Lu Yanxi ended up losing his job. In his previous life, he soared to great heights in his career, but neglected his parents, me as his wife, and our children. In this life, because of Jiang Xuelan, he finally stayed by his parents' side. The endless farm work and Jiang Xuelan's daily dramas made Lu Yanxi look a decade older. We had a brief encounter at the train station. I turned and walked away without a moment's hesitation. My parents told me a lot about Lu Yanxi and Jiang Xuelan. The two of them were constantly bickering. The Lu household was practically in a constant state of uproar, with major blowouts every few days and minor squabbles in between. Jiang Xuelan refused to do any housework and showed no filial respect towards Lu Yanxi's parents. She was disgusted by Lu Yanxi's parents' illnesses and found them filthy. It's said that whenever they argued, Jiang Xuelan would cry out, "This isn't how it was supposed to be. My past life wasn't like this at all. Why has everything turned out this way? It's all because you're so useless." She said Lu Yanxi had risen to a very high official position, and boasted that she herself held a cushy desk job in a government office, never having to lift a finger for menial work. Everyone was laughing at Jiang Xuelan for her pipe dream, given the circumstances between her and Lu Yanxi. Such a fortunate outcome could only exist in her wildest dreams. I listened to my parents in silence, a suspicion beginning to form in my mind. Could it be that Jiang Xuelan was also a reincarnator, convinced by the trajectory of her past life that marrying Lu Yanxi would lead to a good life? She took the risk. She tried to steal my admission letter ahead of time to take my place, but when she couldn't find it on me, she then tried to use Lu Yanxi. She thought I was hopelessly in love with Lu Yanxi and would agree to anything he asked. Little did she expect that I would refuse Lu Yanxi, and even less that he would want to send her away. That's why she put on this whole charade of the thief crying "Stop thief." On the day I left, Lu Yanxi stopped me at the village entrance. "I had a dream, Xingnan. In our past life, we were husband and wife. We got married and even had a child. And then," I asked, looking at him coldly, I'm so sorry. "Nothing ever happened between me and Jiang Xuelan. She stole your admission letter and took your place. Then she threatened me into helping her forge the documents. I was out of my mind when I agreed. After that, she latched onto me like a ghost haunting me. If I didn't do what she wanted, she'd threaten to expose me." Lu Yanxi clutched at his own hair. "She's been blackmailing me for decades, right up until you left. I don't understand how it came to this." I didn't wait to hear the rest. I turned and walked away. It's all water under the bridge. I let go of that past life a long time ago. Forgiving others is also a way to free yourself. After all, people like Lu Yanxi and Jiang Xuelan aren't worth me remembering them forever. Story 2. I was reborn on the day Reese Zhang proposed to me. At that moment, he stood in a circle of red roses and candles, looking at me. No amount of lively atmosphere could hide the impatience in his eyes. Dragged downstairs by my roommate, I couldn't be bothered to pretend anymore and pulled the onlooking Remy Yi over. Reese Zhang's eyes instantly turned ice cold as he stared fixedly at me. "Arya Wan, what madness are you up to now? I've already proposed as you demanded. What more do you want?" I shook my head. "You only proposed because of the pressure from your family, but I don't want that. Over the years, I've come to realize that the person you truly love is Remy. Since that's the case, I'll step aside for you." Remy Yi beside me eyed me suspiciously. Reese Zhang was even more stunned. After snapping out of it, he grabbed my wrist tightly. "With so many people around, you just had to embarrass me, didn't you? This guy really can't tell good from bad." Suppressing my disgust, I put on the most sincere expression of my life and pushed Remy Yi into Reese Zhang's arms. You two are truly made for each other. I would never stand in the way of true love. Reese Zhang looked at me hesitantly. As if wanting to say something, I patted my chest and said, "Don't worry, I'll talk to your parents. I won't put you in a difficult position." Everyone present froze for a moment, then, following my lead, started cheering again. After all, it's still a marriage proposal. Just with a different person, the essence remains the same. But after the crowd dispersed, Reese Zhang couldn't stay calm when he belatedly noticed Remy Yi's slightly bulging belly. He guided Remy Yi to sit on a nearby stone bench. Then grabbed my forearm and demanded, "What nonsense are you spouting? How could Remy possibly be pregnant?" Of course, I couldn't tell him that in the previous life, Remy Yi had gotten pregnant just before graduation. In the end, they even blamed the first miscarriage on me, saying that if it weren't for rushing to watch my competition and cheer me on, she wouldn't have had the accident. An enraged Reese Zhang arranged for someone to directly cut off my opportunity for overseas study. At the moment, I casually covered up. My mom has a friend in the obstetrics department who happened to run into Remy Yi during her checkup. Reese Zhang grew even angrier. So you knew she was pregnant, yet you still made me, in front of so many people tonight. He hesitated for a long time without finishing his sentence, feigning surprise. I said, "You love her so much. You swore in front of over 100 people from both our families that you'd marry no one but her. What, changed your mind now?" I sneered contemptuously. "Reese Zhang, your so-called true love is utterly unreliable." Reese Zhang was choked by my words, stretching his neck to argue with me. Behind us, Remy Yi cautiously walked in. "Please don't fight." She placed a hand on her stomach. I was too foolish. Trusting the wrong person led to this situation. The doctor said my physical condition is extremely poor, and if I have a miscarriage, it could be life-threatening. Reese Zhang couldn't stand seeing her in this pitiful, tearful state since childhood, so he immediately hugged Remy Yi to comfort her. "Don't worry, Remy, I'll definitely help you find that bastard." This child of Remy Yi's was from her mixed-race boyfriend whom she met while studying abroad a few years ago. But now, the man has gone missing. Remy Yi tightly gripped Reese Zhang's sleeve. "Don't look for him anymore. I don't want him." I chuckled lightly. "Can't hit him, can't look for him. So what do you want to do?" Remy Yi remained silent, pressing herself firmly against Reese Zhang. "I don't know. I was cheated out of money and love. I've lost everything. You two are all I have left. I won't say anything." Reese Zhang gritted his teeth and blurted out, "Don't worry, Remy. Given the bond we've shared since childhood, I'll take responsibility for the child in your belly." Perfect. That's exactly the sentence I've been waiting for. Chapter 2. Only a few people knew about Remy Yi's pregnancy. She had requested a long leave from school. Reese Zhang specially arranged a 3-bedroom apartment for her to recuperate in. After seeing Remy Yi off, Reese Zhang turned back and stopped me, his eyes wide open. "Why did you react like that?" I put on a professional fake smile. "Seeing you and Remy Yi overcome all obstacles to be together, I'm happy for you." Reese Zhang looked even more agitated, seemingly very dissatisfied with my words. "In our past life, we came together through an arranged marriage between families, yet Remy Yi resolutely married the mixed-race boyfriend she had always longed for. Little did she know that after marriage, her husband would frequently bring home various mistresses. The deeply traumatized Remy Yi suffered multiple miscarriages. When I suffered my 3rd domestic violence-induced miscarriage, I had just found out I was pregnant. Afraid of upsetting her, I kept it quiet and only called Reese Zhang to share the news. But once Reese Zhang's mother found out, word of my pregnancy reached Remy Yi. Remy Yi saw it as the ultimate malice and humiliation. That night, she texted Reese Zhang, "I hope in the next life, you'll be the one who stays with me till the end." Then turned on the gas in the kitchen. The person couldn't be saved. Reese Zhang went berserk in the hospital, then rushed home and smashed everything in sight at me. He called me a murderer, saying I had provoked his Remy, causing him to lose his beloved forever. After that, my father's company was maliciously targeted by his family's business, and I was tormented for several years. At this thought, I clenched my fists, no longer sparing Reese Zhang another glance, and turned to go upstairs. This time I will make sure these two become deeply entangled, never to part until death. Otherwise, how could I ever make up for the suffering I endured in my past life? With nothing to do over the weekend, my father asked me to come home for a meal, saying the Zhang family was hosting to discuss the marriage alliance between our two families. I told my dad that there's no possibility between me and Reese Zhang anymore. He's already decided to take care of Remy Yi for the rest of his life. This meeting was the perfect opportunity to clear things up face to face. After waiting for over half an hour, Reese Zhang finally arrived at the private room, under the disappointed gazes of his parents. He declared loudly, "I promise to take care of Remy for life, and I will never go back on my word." His father clutched his chest and shouted angrily, not knowing what on earth he was thinking. I chuckled inwardly. This was just the beginning. If the old couple found out Reese Zhang was about to become a father, they might be even more worked up. My dad cleared his throat. "Old Zhang, since things have come to this, let's just forget about the marriage arrangement between our families. After all, we should respect the young people's wishes. Everything could have been settled with that." But halfway through the meal, Reese Zhang took a call and then checked his phone. Whatever message he saw made him glare at me abruptly. "Arya 1. So you've been playing dirty with me, you haven't changed at all, still just as vicious." After roaring this, he stood up and splashed the red wine in his hand all over my face. Caught off guard, I choked and coughed repeatedly. My father was instantly furious, grabbing Reese Zhang and slapping him across the face. "You little brat, I practically watched you grow up, and this is how you treat my daughter." Aunt Zhang rushed over protectively, shielding her precious son. I wiped my face with a tissue and stared coldly at Reese Zhang. Fuming, he leaned down and hissed words only the two of us could hear, each syllable dripping with venom. "I knew it all along. Your fake congratulations for Remy and me that day were nothing but an act. You're just a scheming, venomous person, putting on a good face in front of others while secretly leaking the news about Remy's pregnancy, so that's what he's angry about." I sneered. Reese Zhang, without knowing the full story. "You have no right to condemn me." With that, I slowly poured the fresh clam chowder from the table over his head, as if watering a dying plant. Drenched from head to toe, Reese Zhang stumbled backward, shouting, "You just wait for this." With that, he shoved me aside, grabbed his coat, and stormed out the door. The wooden door swung back violently, slamming shut with a loud bang. The atmosphere in the room turned awkward as the other elders present hurried to smooth things over. While Reese Zhang's mother began making sarcastic remarks, "Not to be rude, Arya 1, but your temper is getting worse. Have you ever seen a decent girl throw soup at her future husband?" I remained expressionless. "You're mistaken. As I just made clear, Reese Zhang has already pledged himself to Remy Yi." She crossed her arms and kept chattering. "Actually, I've met that Yi girl. She's perfect in every way. If the Yi family hadn't gone bankrupt back then, you wouldn't even be our daughter-in-law now." My father was furious and immediately demanded to know what she meant by that. I held my dad's hand and retorted with a smile, "Auntie, is being the daughter-in-law of your Zhang family some kind of golden treasure? If you look down on me so much, why do you call me a dozen times a day to supervise your son? Isn't it because deep down you think he's morally corrupt and no good?" Reese Zhang's mother choked on her words. So angry she rolled her eyes. "In my past life, it was actually my would-be mother-in-law who spread the news of my pregnancy everywhere and then belittled me in front of Remy Yi. This is what ultimately led to the tragedy. But after the incident with Remy Yi, she and her son Reese Zhang fiercely denounced me as shameless and cruel, disregarding sisterly bonds, and making my pregnancy known to the whole world. When I suffered a miscarriage after being repeatedly tormented by Reese Zhang, she berated me as worthless, pinching my face with her freshly manicured nails until it was covered in bruises in the hospital room. In truth, a little reflection would reveal that a family capable of spoiling someone as arrogant and paternalistic as Reese Zhang could never be a good place to begin with. Chapter 3. Reese Zhang took a taxi back to school overnight to comfort Remy Yi. He barged into the girls' dormitory despite attempts to stop him. When I went upstairs, he was holding Remy Yi tightly in his arms, his cold, stern gaze sweeping over everyone. "If any of you dare to say one more word about her, you're opposing the Zhang family. Don't blame me for being ruthless. I'll make sure you're expelled from this school." He really has some nerve, acting as if he owns the university, holding my sketchpad. I pushed through the crowd of onlookers and headed back to the dorm. "Everyone, it's just a lunatic throwing a tantrum. No need to gather around and watch." The surroundings fell silent instantly, and my three roommates simultaneously gave me a thumbs up. Reese Zhang tightened his grip on Remy Yi's hand, causing her to let out a soft cry of pain. "What did you say?" He looked at me in disbelief. On the way back to school, Reese Zhang called, furious, saying that if he returned late and even a single hair on his Remy was harmed, he would hold me accountable. I laughed right then, and he snapped, "What, you think I'm threatening you? Let me tell you, if anything happens to Remy Yi, there's nothing I won't do. That's only natural. After all, in my previous life, he took revenge on me for Remy Yi's tragic death by setting up financial traps that ruined my family's company, the Ruans. My father was so ill he coughed up blood in the hospital. Yet Reese Zhang made him kneel to repent on my behalf. Back then, he had completely forgotten every meal he ate at our house as a child, forgotten how my father treated him like his own son. Reese Zhang and I locked eyes, the tension between us palpable. Remy Yi suddenly rushed forward and grabbed my wrist. Arya, no matter how angry you are that Reese chose me, you shouldn't spread such rumors. Enough is enough. I stepped far away from her. First of all, whether your pregnancy is a rumor or not, you know the truth. Your act might work on Reese Zhang, but don't think shedding a few tears means the whole world will give in to you. My roommate Xiaolin clapped for me. Well said, you're my one and only queen. Seeing this, the other girls also began whispering among themselves. Exactly, the whole building just saw the news about her pregnancy, and she's already wailing and getting hysterical first. I just went out to get a package, accidentally bumped into her shoulder, and she coldly accused me of being sent by Arya Wan to harm her. I couldn't defend myself even if I tried. She's making it seem like everyone is bullying her, when hardly anyone is even paying attention to her. Remy Ye's face grew increasingly pale, and she swayed before collapsing backward. Reese Zhang caught her and glared at me angrily. Arya Wan, don't take advantage of your father's backing to act recklessly. If you don't apologize to Remy tonight, don't even think about stepping into this house. Hearing this suddenly made me a little excited. I moved closer. Reese Zhang, barging into the girls' dorm and verbally threatening a girl, it's you who should be apologizing. You've completely lost what little dignity the entire Zhang family has left. Reese Zhang was so furious that he raised his hand, ready to force my head down into a bow of apology. I gripped his wrist tightly, twisted it downward, and slammed him heavily onto the ground. These days, I haven't just been practicing my professional drawing skills, I've also found time to learn judo. Your mom asked me to teach you a few more lessons at school. It's the least I can do. Remy Yi was both shocked and terrified, half dragging and half supporting the flushed-faced Reese Zhang to his feet. The dorm supervisor came up with a broom to chase people away, and only then did Reese Zhang let go and leave. The next day, he used his connections to track down the personal IP address of the person who had exposed Remy Yi's pregnancy. The whistleblower turned out to be Suna, who had recently been competing with Remy Yi for a scholarship. When I went downstairs to take out the trash, I happened to see Reese Zhang holding Remy Yi while blocking Suna, arrogantly demanding that she kneel and apologize. A hint of smugness and satisfaction flashed in Remy Yi's eyes, but she still had to maintain her persona, timidly saying, "Forget it, Reese, Nana didn't mean it. She hasn't been giving me much trouble in the dorm lately. Besides, she's usually quite close to Arya Wan. Wouldn't doing this be slapping her in the face? I don't want to cause any more trouble." Hearing this, Reese James' protective instinct surged even higher. I knew that Arya Wan, with her spoiled rich girl temper, would never let me go. He leaned in and said threateningly that if Suna didn't kneel down, he would release photos of her working as a bar hostess. Reese James' way of solving problems is always so crude. Even though they shared the same dorm, he didn't even think to build some goodwill with Remy Yi. Upon hearing this, Suna trembled, overwhelmed by humiliation. She shouted, "If Remy Yi hadn't pushed me too far, repeatedly taking my opportunities, would I have done this?" As she spoke, she pulled out the pencil holding her hair and lunged at the two of them. "Don't touch Remy!" Reese Zhang cried out in alarm, pulling Remy Yi tightly into his arms. Meanwhile, I, who had just come downstairs, was forcefully shoved by him toward the out-of-control Suna. The sharp tip of the pencil split the skin on my forearm, and beads of blood welled up. Under Suna's shocked gaze, I took the pencil from her. "Go report yourself to the advisor and accept your punishment. For now, I won't pursue this matter further." As Suna turned to leave, Remy Yi, eyes wide with fury, shouted, "She can't leave, Reese, did you see? The two of them are in this together. If you don't give me an explanation today, I won't live anymore." That stance made it clear she was trying to push Suna even further into a breakdown. She naturally had Reese Zhang protecting her, while I might become the target of Suna's vengeful anger. After calming down, Suna nodded at me and went to find the counselor. Reese Zhang anxiously pulled Remy Yi aside to check on her, then looked up and noticed my injury. "I'm sorry, Arya." For once, his eyes showed genuine remorse. It was an emergency just now, and Remy's situation was special, so I had no choice but to push me forward as a human shield. I glared at him with utter disgust. "Did it ever occur to you that if I hadn't reacted in time, that pencil could have gone straight into my eye?" Reese James Adams' apple bobbed. "It's not that serious. Remy is an art student. Her hands can't get injured." The moment he spoke, he completely forgot that these hands of mine have also been painting since the age of 7. As I stepped closer, Reese Zhang tensely shielded Remy Yi behind him. "Reese Zhang, hold out your hand for a second. I have something for you." He frowned and extended his right hand, with the pencil I was holding. I forcefully drew a line across his palm. "Ah, what are you doing? Are you crazy?" Remy exclaimed, hugging Reese Zhang. I smiled sweetly and said word by word, "Reese Zhang, all these years of friendship, along with that push you just gave me, consider it all returned to you. I wish you and Remy a lifetime of endless strife, never parting till death." In Reese Zhang's trembling pupils, I walked away with ease. Chapter 4, Not long after. Remy Yi was called in for a talk due to prolonged absenteeism. Her pregnancy could no longer be kept a secret. Originally, the school intended to expel her, but Reese Zhang intervened with money and even promised to donate a library, barely managing to secure Remy Yi's graduation certificate. However, as the whispers on campus grew, Remy Yi herself became increasingly sensitive. Whenever she saw people huddled together whispering, she assumed they were mocking her. Once, a roommate forgot to say good morning to her, and she angrily accused them of isolating her. I spent all day in the studio, fully immersed in preparing for the upcoming national painting competition. The ultimate winner of the competition would become the apprentice of a master in traditional Chinese painting, receiving personal guidance for 6 months, a dream I had cherished for years. In my previous life, I had prepared for this for half a year, brimming with confidence. On the day we were supposed to go out for the competition, Remy Yi happened to be suffering from unbearable stomach pain. Under the phoenix tree, she clutched my arm tightly, begging me not to abandon her. I clearly called an ambulance for her and called the teacher, yet afterward she still went around claiming I had left her to die. This time, I absolutely won't soften my heart even a little. Kindness shown to unworthy people will bring disaster upon oneself. I didn't open the door to leave until the sunset. When I had finished painting, a tall, lean figure stood abruptly at the door, casting a shadow over me, which gave me quite a fright. "Reese Zhang, what are you doing here?" I stared at him with full vigilance. "I wrongly accused you last time. I came to apologize." As he spoke, he insisted on pushing his way into my studio. "No need, this won't be the last time you apologize anyway." Reese Zhang's gaze faltered, looking genuinely hurt. "Even without the engagement, there's no need for you to speak to me like this. Besides, are you really completely blameless? You know Remy is pregnant now and at her most vulnerable, yet as her friend, you're not by her side." "Arya Wan, when did you become so mercenary?" My face was full of resistance. "Stay away from me." If I stayed by her side, how could your deep affection and greatness stand out? I don't have time to waste with him. Get out of the way. Don't stop me from winning the prize. Reese Zhang grabbed my wrist tightly. "How much money can you even get from winning?" "I'll pay you 50,000. Go take care of Remy full-time at Lan Yuan Apartments. That competition you're entering is all hype. When can't you go?" I smiled and shook off his hand, saying softly, "Reese Zhang, it's time to drain the water from your brain." On Monday, I arrived at the competition venue early as I had hoped, and drew the number 9 in the order. The venue was packed with people. I had just steadied myself when a commotion erupted at the entrance. A contestant shouted angrily, "What's the problem? Who brings a whole squad of bodyguards to a competition?" Out of the corner of my eye, Remy Yi walked in wearing a formal dress, surrounded by a circle of black-clad bodyguards holding hands to shield her. Reese Zhang carefully shielded her as they moved forward, draping a cashmere shawl over her shoulders. It looked like some big-name celebrity making an appearance. It suddenly occurred to me that Remy Yi had also signed up for this national painting competition, but seeing her lounging in the apartment all day, weighted on hand and foot, posting all sorts of pregnancy glamour shots, I thought she'd long forgotten about it. I went to the restroom, reached out my hand, but the door was locked from the inside. I thought it was someone's prank. But when I managed to climb over the door with all my strength, I just caught a glimpse of a black-clad bodyguard jogging away. Fortunately, it only delayed me for a few minutes. By the time I arrived at the exhibition booth, Remy Yi was already holding the microphone and beginning to share her creative journey. The painting displayed behind her was precisely the one I had just finished, titled Dawn. In short, this painting is a portrayal of the moments shared between me and the most important person in my life, Mr. Zhang. Our love is as bright and eternal as this sunlight. I sneered and cut off the power to her display screen. "You're quite imaginative, spinning such elaborate tales about someone else's artwork." Remy Yi froze, glaring at me with resentment. She seemed surprised that I could still appear here. "Arya Wan." Reese Zhang pushed through the crowd to pull me away. "Let's talk about this downstairs. Don't make a scene here." I blocked his arm and pinned him to the ground. "You scoundrel." My artwork magically became Remy Yi's. and you dare come here to lecture me. Now I finally understand why Reese Zhang kept glancing nervously behind me when he came to the studio that day. You weren't there to apologize, you came to secretly photograph my work. Remy Yi cut me off, speaking condescendingly. Arya Wan, stop talking nonsense. People will just think you're crazy. Without hesitation, Reese Zhang signaled the bodyguards to drag me out. Chapter 5. Amid the chaos, the renowned traditional Chinese painting master, Professor Zhao, stepped onto the stage, cleared his throat, and silenced the commotion. He asked Remy Yi whether the painting Dawn was truly her own work. Remy Yi eagerly admitted it was, to which Professor Zhao smiled and shook his head, saying, "Young one, poor painting skills can be improved. But a flawed character is beyond repair." Remy Yi's face instantly turned pale. What do you mean? But when she looked up and saw all my works displayed on the big screen, she was left speechless. It was simple. Ever since I decided to study under Master Zhao, I had contacted him early on and mailed him a painting every month. The competition piece, Dawn, had also been completed and submitted to the event committee a week prior. Remy Yi instantly drew scornful looks from everyone in the audience. Her face flushed red as she clutched her stomach and threw herself into Reese Zhang's arms. Brother Reese, it turns out Arya Wan has always seen me as an enemy. She never trusted us from the start. Reese Zhang glared at me in embarrassment and anger. You did this on purpose, pretending to be cautious and deliberate, just to make fools of us, I sneered. You're the thieves, yet you're the ones who are angry. Your shamelessness has reached new lows. Reese Zhang forcefully had the bodyguards drive the others away, gritting his teeth as he said, Remy is pregnant now and shouldn't be overworked. I just wanted to make her happy. Besides, it's just a painting. There's no need to make such a fuss. Know when to stop. They were clearly despicable thieves, yet they spoke as if they were righteous and justified. Put away your bandit logic. I couldn't help but growl. Reese Zhang, to get Remy Yi noticed by a renowned mentor. You wouldn't hesitate to ruin my opportunity. Who gave you the right? Was it also with your tacit approval that someone locked me in the bathroom? Reese Zhang remained silent, his gaze complex and fixed on me. At my strong insistence, the event organizers called the police. However, Reese Zhang and the other person were released after paying a fine. But the humiliating video of Remy Yi at the competition had already spread throughout the entire community, together with other artists. I signed a petition to boycott such foolish and shameful plagiarism. Remy Yi was scolded to a pulp within a few days and was forced to disable the comments section. Late at night, Reese Zhang called and continued to accuse me of being aggressive. You knew she was pregnant. Couldn't you have given her some slack? Being pregnant isn't an excuse for her to act out. Chapter 6. As graduation approached, I moved out of the dormitory and devoted myself entirely to learning painting under Professor Zhao. I also took the opportunity to travel around various cities in the south, visiting renowned painters. After returning, the class monitor called, suggesting we gather before graduation. After a pause, she added, that person, Remy Yi, will also be there. I'm not surprised. After all, she's in the same department as me. However, counting back, at this time in my previous life, it was precisely when she had her first miscarriage. The gathering was held on the second floor of a quiet bar, an open-air rooftop where the evening breeze made everyone feel much more comfortable. During the gathering, Reese Zhang attentively took care of Remy Yi, whose belly was slightly protruding. Remy Yi put down her water glass and walked over. Arya, come with me to the restroom. Alarms immediately started blaring in my mind, and I took a big step back. With so many girls around you, why does it have to be me? Arya Wan, Reese Zhang's tone darkened upon seeing this. Don't drag Remy into our cold war. Would it kill you to accompany her to the restroom? If things go wrong, I really might die. Thinking back to my previous life when he threatened my father's life, forcing me to work over 10 hours a day doing heavy labor and even sleeping beside Remy Yi's tombstone, I grit my teeth in hatred. What expression did Reese Zhang have when I died of heart failure from overwork? Laugh your heart out with joy, then curse me to eternal damnation. I remained seated, unmoving as a mountain, while Remy Yi, looking displeased, wiped her tears and headed to the bathroom. During this lull, Suna, who hadn't been seen in a while, stood up and poured a glass of wine to toast Reese Zhang. Mr. Zhang, I was wrong before, terribly wrong, but I beg you to show mercy and stop pressuring my parents. They're just farmers, and my mother suffers from schizophrenia. She can't handle the stress. Suna looked haggard, her voice choked with sobs, appearing on the verge of a breakdown. Reese Zhang simply raised his wrist and leisurely sipped a mouthful of red wine. Oh, what does that have to do with me? You offended Remy and made her unhappy. This is the price. Suna gritted her teeth. I've been handwriting apology letters to her for a whole month. What more do you want? And you even hired local thugs to harass us." Hearing this, Rees-jong was stunned. "I only told them to cause a little trouble in the orchard, didn't I?" This was already a serious violation of the law. I looked at Rees-jong speechlessly. Suna had always been a financially struggling student, and her family's orchard was their sole means of livelihood. He arranged for people to cause trouble, enough to ruin their income for the entire year, yet he still felt the punishment was too light. A sudden gust of wind swept across the terrace, and Suna, losing her balance, stumbled forward. Rees-jong instinctively caught her in his arms. Returning from the restroom, Remy witnessed the scene, her eyes blazing with fury. She rushed over, ready to grab Suna by the hair, shouting, "How dare you try to seduce him? Seems I've been too lenient with you." The surrounding classmates didn't dare to step in and break up the fight, for a simple reason: when Remy loses her temper, she doesn't recognize friend from foe. If she was upset about something, Rees-jong would take it out on others too. "Remy, calm down, it's just a misunderstanding." Amid the chaos, the silver railing behind them shook violently. With a loud bang, the out-of-control Remy and Rees-jong both fell from the second floor. The class monitor rushed over in panic, exclaiming, "Oh my god, call 120, call 120 now." I glanced down just in time to see a pool of blood spreading beneath Remy, mingling with the orange glow of the streetlights at night. Like a blooming crimson enchantress, Remy had a miscarriage. The squad leader said that as soon as she woke up, she started crying and making a scene, gripping Rees-jong's neck and refusing to let go. "If it weren't for you and that bitch, how could I have lost my child? You promised to take care of me for a lifetime. Was it all lies? You're just like that bastard who abandoned me." Rees-jong stayed by Remy's side day and night, offering no resistance. In his previous life, Rees-jong once told me that the reason he spoiled Remy unconditionally was because she had saved his life. When they were in elementary school, he sneaked out one night to look for a puppy and nearly froze to death in the snow. It was Remy who carried him back home. At that time, he promised to be good to this little girl for the rest of his life, but he never knew that the one who walked half an hour in the snow to bring him back was me. After the fall, Rees-jong suffered a fractured right hand and wore a cast, visiting Remy in the hospital every day to care for her. At first, he still felt guilty, believing he bore some responsibility for the accident. Moreover, he thought that Remy had become so extreme because of the sudden upheaval in her family during her youth, followed soon after by being emotionally manipulated by a scoundrel. He posted on his social media, "I will use all my love and sincerity to bring you back from the darkness, just like how you carried me home back then." But Rees-jong didn't know that soon, his family would also face a sudden upheaval. "When I went home for dinner, my father casually mentioned, the Zhang family's product chain is about to collapse because their key executives were poached. They're scrambling to borrow money and secure financing everywhere now." Naturally, I was aware of this matter because I had also played a part in it. Chapter 7. That day, my cousin's family had something to attend to outside, so I took my little nephew to the hospital for a dental checkup. As luck would have it, I ran into an acquaintance by the fountain at the hospital. Remy, sitting in the wheelchair, looked pale, his eyes filled with confusion. Rees-jong lowered his head and handed a thermos cup to Remy's lips, but after saying something, Remy abruptly knocked the cup over. Boiling water splashed onto Rees-jong's face, scalding him so badly that he shuddered and couldn't help but growl. "What the hell do you want from me? You're yelling at me. You actually dare to yell at me. Isn't this proof that you don't love me anymore?" Tears streamed down Remy's face as she said, "Just go. I don't want a man who doesn't love me by my side. Let me wither away alone." The 4-year-old nephew in my arms scratched his head and asked me innocently, "Auntie, are those two crazy? Should we buy them some food?" The teacher said we should show compassion even towards the mentally ill. Rees-jong overheard this and snapped out of his rage, staring at me in shock. Only then did I notice, after just a few days apart, his bangs were now poking into the corners of his eyes, his eye sockets sunken, as if he'd contracted some serious illness. Remy spotted the little nephew in my arms and pointed a trembling finger at me. "What's the meaning of carrying a child here to mock me? How could you be so cruel? If Ari or Juan hadn't gone to the party, I wouldn't have gone either, and nothing would have happened." I was speechless. The so-called unreasonable person can find a reason to blame you even if you're 100,000 miles away from her. I'm not your mother. Why do you have to follow me wherever I go, Ari or Juan? Shut your mouth. Rees-jong didn't realize he was always on the path of silencing me. I shrugged. Instead of wasting time arguing with me, you'd better hurry up and get her a neurology appointment. My little nephew giggled. Auntie is awesome. Holding the kid, I strode away triumphantly, leaving the two behind still bickering. For years of university came to an end. As I packed my luggage and headed downstairs, I unexpectedly ran into Suna, who was also carrying a suitcase. She nodded at me, quickly walked past, but then suddenly turned back. That night, you knew it was me who tampered with the railing. Why didn't you expose me? I shook my head. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no intention of getting involved in the disputes between her and Remy Yi. On the contrary, the more deeply she retaliates against those two, the more I enjoy watching it. As I turned around, a large hand suddenly reached out and shoved me against the wall. Reese Zhang, are you out of your mind? Has Remy been missing for several days? Does it have anything to do with you? He stared straight at me, his right hand slowly creeping up to my neck. She used to disappear often before. Am I supposed to be held accountable even if she loses a single strand of hair? I just saw you with that Suna. She had a grudge against Remy. Don't you dare say you didn't egg her on. Arya Wan, you're jealous that Remy has won my heart, so you're taking your hatred out on her. I watched coldly as he puffed himself up, pressing my index finger against his forehead. Reese Zhang, how have your bones been lately? He pursed his lips, swallowed hard, recalling the terror of being at the mercy of my bone-loosening techniques. Words alone prove nothing. Show me your phone, and then I'll know if you've been playing dirty tricks on Remy. I laughed in anger. Look at my phone. You think you're worthy. His eyes were firm, and he smirked. See, you're guilty. As he spoke, he tried to snatch my phone by flipping open my pocket while I turned away. In the midst of the struggle, he pushed me into the small studio next to us. I looked at his furrowed brows, so deep they could crush a few mosquitoes, and suddenly remembered something amusing. Reese Zhang, you said Remy Yi has been missing for days. Instead of urgently searching for her, you're here venting your madness on me. It's clear you don't care about her that much. Ever since I last saw them arguing at the hospital, I noticed that the tenderness in Reese Zhang's eyes when he looked at Remy Yi was fading, replaced by growing irritation. No matter how beautifully spoken the emotions are, they will wear thin in the face of daily tests and mischief. Feeling exposed, Reese Zhang impatiently lit a cigarette and held it between his lips. My expression instantly darkened. This is a studio. Get out if you want to smoke. But he seemed suddenly intrigued. It's been a while since I've heard you scold me so bluntly. I almost miss it. I suspect he might need to see a neurologist too. In the dead silence, my phone rang. It was Liao Yan, a junior from the art studio, calling. Senior, I'm all ready and waiting for your royal favor. He's been my go-to-life model lately. Okay, I'll come to the studio right away. Stop, don't move. Reese Zhang was standing very close to me just now, so he heard Liao Yan's joking remark. What's your relationship with this person? When did you two get together? I shoved him aside and walked out. If you can't speak properly, then shut up. Reese Zhang forcefully blocked the door, refusing to let me leave, insisting that I go with him to the police station to wait for news about Remy Yi. I elbowed him in retaliation and was about to yell when a thick white smoke suddenly filled the cramped studio. It was a cigarette, but Reese Zhang had angrily tossed aside. It had ignited the sketches piled in the corner. It was an accident, he blurted out in panic, pulling out his phone to call for help. Through the thickening smoke, I endured the suffocating pain as I rescued the other stacked sketches. Fortunately, there were other classmates in the building at the time. Everyone sprang into action, and the flames were quickly extinguished. Both Reese Zhang and I received disciplinary records. But he also got the special honor of being publicly announced to the entire school. Whether in my past life or now, getting involved with him has never brought me a good outcome. Now, going to the police station is unavoidable, I said coldly, dialing 110. Chapter 8. Perhaps it was fate. Among all the sketches in the studio, only 2 were burned, and one of them happened to be the painting I had done long ago. Titled Memories in the Snow. At the police station, Reese Zhang trembled all over when he saw this half-burned painting. In the vast white snowscape, a girl with a ponytail carried an unconscious boy on her back, trudging forward, followed by a little black dog limping on 3 legs. Reese Zhang's eyes were frighteningly red as he asked me in a hoarse voice, Arya, did you paint this? Was it really you who carried me home back then? I remained silent as he clutched the drawing paper tightly, unwilling to let go, his expression revealing a hint of nostalgia and regret. Soon, my father and Reese Zhang's parents arrived as well. The night was deep, and a torrential rain poured outside, the raindrops hitting the ground and splashing up golden-winged butterflies. Seeing her son in such a distraught state, Reese Zhang's mother raised her umbrella, ready to strike me. You're making such a small issue into a police matter. Are you deliberately trying to oppose our Jean family? No wonder. Someone raised without a mother from childhood has no manners. Watch your mouth. How dare you lay a finger on my daughter? My father stepped in front of me, and Reese James' parents immediately backed off. Reborn, it's just a few worthless paintings. If you needed them, I could buy you 100, but no, since you couldn't climb up to my Reese, you had to ruin him instead. My father laughed. Who would want your precious son, so eager to be someone else's lapdog? Reese James' parents were already upset because my dad didn't lend them money in their time of need, and now they were finding every excuse to vent their frustration. The police officer shouted to stop them, and only then did the two shut their mouths. Reese James' mother grabbed her son's hand. Reese, tell me it's not true what that little bitch Reborn said, that you haven't been messing around with others. Enough, Mom. Reese Jong covered his face with his hands and muttered. You shouldn't talk to Arya like that. I raised an eyebrow. What kind of drama was this? Reese Jong was asked to compensate for the damage to my artwork, but his mother absolutely refused, insisting her son had done nothing wrong. During the scuffle, a small packet of white powder fell out of Reese James' pants pocket. The room fell dead silent, and the officers' expressions instantly turned grave. They picked up the white powder from the ground for testing. While temporarily detaining the shocked Reese Jong, my father shielded me and sneered, "You didn't leave earlier, and now your son can't go anywhere. Tonight has been full of twists and turns, and I'm utterly exhausted, just like when I was a child." My father patted my shoulder reassuringly, telling me to focus on my painting studies and that he would handle everything. A few days later, just as I received an interview notice from a top international art school, I heard that Remy had returned. Moreover, she was pregnant again, and the child was still that of her mixed-race boyfriend. However, her boyfriend had been taken away for committing crimes abroad, and Remy's so-called love shattered once again, leading her to turn back to Reese Jong. Little did she know, Reese Jong was still in detention at the time. His blood test report showed no issues, but the source of the contraband that fell from his pocket still hadn't been traced. In the end, it was Remy, despite her pregnancy, who stepped forward to testify, stating that Reese Jong had been falsely accused while accompanying her to the gathering. Only after the investigation was completed was Reese Jong released. That day, my father personally drove me to the city to attend the exchange conference. Passing by the city police station, traffic was jammed, and I happened to witness Reese James' mother frantically grabbing Remy's hair, screaming that she had ruined her son. Remy, despite her pregnant belly, was surprisingly strong and quickly pinned the other woman to the ground. With a cold expression, she said, "My first child was killed by Reese Jong. This is what he owes me." Chapter 9, Reese Jong was pestered by Remy and, with a heavy heart, temporarily cut off contact with his family to accompany Remy during her pregnancy. I posted the videos I had collected of the two of them online, captioning them, "Calling this the pinnacle of pure love wouldn't be an exaggeration." However, knowing Remy's sensitive and suspicious nature all too well, I also hired a small group of internet trolls to subtly imply in the comments section, "Marriage should be between equals, otherwise, there will be plenty of problems down the road." When Remy went live to share snippets of her romantic life, everyone could see from Reese James' increasingly disheveled state that his psychological defenses were crumbling. That day, I shared a newly award-winning painting online, Reese Jong, the first one to give me a like. That very night, during Remy's live stream, she prompted Reese Jong to perform intimate gestures with her. Reese Jong didn't cooperate, and with the sarcastic comments from onlookers piling up, Remy lost control and grabbed a nearby wine bottle, smashing it against Reese Jong's left cheek. Watching the two of them fight like dogs, stabbing at each other's weak spots, I was so delighted that I ate an extra half bowl of rice. Not long after, the Zhang family, barely holding on to their hollowed-out company, hosted a family banquet. I dressed in my finest attire and presented an exquisite painting, receiving a room full of praise thanks to my current achievements and fan following. Remy, left neglected in the corner, glared at me with a sinister look, her eyes filled with resentment. She had come this time to flaunt the depth of her love with Reese Jong, claiming it remained unshaken despite countless obstacles. But now, the bankruptcy of the Zhang family's company is already a foregone conclusion. Among the people present, apart from Reese Jong, who treated her like a treasure, who else would bother with her? Reese James' parents forced him to go on blind dates with other wealthy girls, but to put it bluntly, it was to make him a live-in son-in-law. But at least this way, they could barely maintain a high-quality life in the future. Seeing this, Remy tightly hugged Reese James' waist, appearing helpless but actually speaking with a hint of threat. "Reese, you're all I have left. If you abandon me too, I don't know what I might do." Reese Jong closed his eyes briefly, and when he spoke again, his gaze was utterly indifferent. "I will never leave nor forsake you, until the end of my life." Remy smirked slyly in their direction and enunciated word by word, "If you break this promise, may your entire family die horribly." Reese Zhang's mother was so furious on the spot that she collapsed to her knees, her hands trembling uncontrollably. I started a live stream, uploading this heartwarming scene in its entirety. Thus, Reese Zhang found himself in a dilemma with no way out. Under the watchful eyes of the entire internet, he had no choice but to live and die alongside Remy Yi. He began to resign himself to sending out resumes and looking for a job, but because of his previous incident at the police station, Reese Zhang was left with a stain on his record, and almost no legitimate company would hire him. Reese Zhang and Remy Yi obtained their marriage certificate. A few months later, Remy Yi gave birth to a son, and Reese Zhang became a first-time father. Yet the reality was that his current monthly salary of 1 or 2,000 yuan couldn't possibly support the livelihood of his wife and child. When I got home, Reese Zhang's mother specifically came to knock on my door, grabbing my wrist and demanding that I find a way to win back her son's heart. "That little bitch Remy Yi is leeching off my son. How could she ever be worthy of entering our Zhang family?" As she spoke, Reese Zhang's mother's eyes welled up with tears. "She doesn't earn a single penny, yet spends tens of thousands on clothes every month. My son has to work late-night shifts driving just to support her." I laughed. "Auntie, your son is doing this willingly. You can't blame anyone else." Before going abroad, I hosted the first solo exhibition of my life, first art exhibition. As I enthusiastically chatted with several art-loving gentlemen, Reese Zhang approached from nearby with a forced laugh, just a few months apart. And he looked like he'd aged 10 years, with a stubbly beard and bruises at the corners of his mouth. He forced a gentle smile, though the flesh at the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. "Aria, the exhibition was amazing. I loved it," I replied coldly. "Thanks." His tone dropped. "It's just a pity that the painting Memories in the Snow you drew isn't here. Burning that painting was for the best. It's the one I regret painting the most. And I should thank you for it." Reese Zhang suddenly looked up, staring at me in shock. After a long pause, he asked me in a hoarse voice if I was planning to go abroad. "None of your business, Aria." On the day Remy gave birth, I suddenly had a nightmare. In the dream, our families arranged a marriage, but after the wedding, I treated you horribly. I obsessively blamed you for all the suffering Remy endured. I clenched my teeth, watching the tears streaming down his face, and snapped, "Finished with your performance. Get out, and don't disturb the others viewing the paintings." "Aria, that dream wasn't real, right? I didn't plot to harm your family. Didn't threaten you to kneel by holding your father's life at stake. Didn't force you to guard the graves. How did it come to this?" Reese Zhang laughed and cried, shaking his head with a bizarre expression. "We grew up together. We were supposed to have a happy ending. Only today did I realize that I don't actually love Remy Yi. I just enjoyed the feeling of her wholeheartedly depending on me, and I couldn't let go of the time and effort I'd invested in her." "Aria, you're the one I truly care about." I raised my voice to cut him off. "Security, please call 120 for this gentleman." As he was being dragged out, Reese Zhang struggled to look back at me, begging me not to forget him. I was so disgusted on the spot that I almost lost my composure. After being abroad for over half a year, my dad mentioned casually during a chat that Remy Yi was gone, and Reese Zhang had fallen into depression. Postpartum, Remy Yi remained extremely sensitive, lashing out at Reese Zhang at the slightest frustration. She had a love-hate relationship with her own child, drowning herself in alcohol and nicotine day after day. While singing at a bar stage, she was spotted by Suna, a former impoverished student. Now, Suna has become a rather famous movie star. Suna forced Remy Yi to kneel in public and pour her a drink, while also singing 3 songs. In a fit of rage, Remy Yi nearly strangled Suna to death. After that, she suffered severe cyberbullying and had nowhere to vent, so she could only argue with Reese Zhang day and night. Reese Zhang shouted, "If I had known you were just pretending before, how could I have chosen a lunatic like you and given up on Aria Wan?" That night, Remy Yi turned on the gas. Of the 3, only Reese Zhang was rescued. But his organs were severely damaged. Having previously worked non-stop at heavy labor, his body was completely drained, leaving him to collapse at home and survive on welfare. After hearing this, I simply replied indifferently, "Got it. Living in this world, each person has their own choices and their own fate. Some spare no effort, going through all sorts of struggles, just to prove they possess love. And I refuse to be confined by so-called love, tormenting myself beyond recognition. I must cherish this second chance at life, using my brush to carve out a dazzling path of flowers,